Hello, this is Boris Yelchin, and I am speaking from the dimensions, and I am here to have all people of the world and Russia know that I am still here and that I did not die and I still exist. And I would like to share with you my experience when I died and how I experienced myself on earth. Now, remember that my experience that I'm sharing right now is interdimensional, meaning I'm going to speak to you how I, as who I am right now, on earth, and also crossed over to the dimension. So I'm going to give you an interdimensional perspective on my life on earth, and how and what happened there, and then how I experienced myself when I died. But first, before I continue, let me tell you about that I still exist, and that when you die, you don't really die. You actually move in a spirit form out of your physical body. But now everything has changed, so it's not like you're now this ghost that'll live on forever, doing nothing, floating in the heavens. It's all ethereal-like. No, that's not how it works. You die, you move on, you move to the dimensional existence, and then you're right back here on earth, so we can start shaking up the world and start waking up the world while we shake it up, so that human beings on this world and on this earth plane can start realizing what the hell is really going on. So my life on earth was rather an interesting one, though it was rather strange how I experienced myself in terms of having to, you know, the whole male form, the male dominant powerful expression. And it's interesting because when I died and I got to the dimensions, I was quite tired, you know, this heavy feeling. And, you know, I realized what I had done to myself while I was, let me just get my sit right, while I was on earth. And oh, it's quite nice to finally have an opportunity to sit quite comfortably here, because, you know, when you're on earth and you had the position that I had, you have to give a certain specific presentation for the people, because you have to stand for the people, as the people, and you have to stand for your responsibility, as your responsibility. And, you know, it made me tired. It made me very tired. And, you know, you have to stand as that presence, and you have to speak the specific words to the people, and you have to be dressed a certain way, and, you know, you have to be specific in your hand maneuvers. You can't be too soft. You can't show that you are in any way that you feel. You have to become this stone cold, powerful, influential spokesman, and you've got to get the people's trust, and you've got to get the people's support. And that whole change, because now while I was here, I had to change myself, and I had to mold myself, and I had to become the certain specific presentation of myself. And it makes you tired. And, you know, when I got down to the dimensions now after I had died, and, you know, I understand that it must be difficult to comprehend, you know, that here, me, Boris, still existing. Yeah, my voice might be a bit strange because I'm still speaking through this portal. The person whose body excuse me, this body's the person whose body this is voice, I have to use to kind of present myself also here, but I'm fully here in her body, and I have the ability to communicate with you. And, you know, that's what I experienced in my life, especially in the position that I was, and the responsibility I had, and the position I had was very specific, and therefore I had to kind of mold and change myself specifically from that perspective. And, you know, you get tired, you get fucking tired. You get tired because you have to change yourself completely, and you have to remain that way in front of everyone, because in the position that I was, there's little people you can trust. Little people, little, almost none. And you kind of have to keep your composure no matter where you are, no matter what you do. Maybe the only time I had the ability to be myself was when I slept. And so I'm grateful that I died, because, you know, this world is tough, this world is hard, and this world is difficult to survive in. And I realized that when I died is that my whole expression, my whole presentation, and my entire manifested form of, you know, how I presented myself was to survive, because you can't trust anyone in this world. It is difficult, it is hard, and it is rough. And to kind of stand in that position in front of people, you know, to have them trust you if you don't even trust yourself or the person standing next to you, it's quite difficult to handle. And so, you know, and it's so easy, I found while I was here, to use words